Yahoo, Prof here. And we've got a genuine pile of stuff that we've got to get through. With the first item being the Knipex. We will address that momentarily as I get this stuff out of the way. Alright, I need to get the iPhone because I need to take a thumbnail with you guys of these guys here, and what's in there. Oop, that's a 5X, not a 0.5X. I forgot the camera's upside down. Alright, that's what we're taking a look at today. Hopefully the iPhone is alive. It is. It's almost dead though. Whew, that one's 20% to 10%. I think this thing was sleeping or something. Let's get that on the charge. It's just an iPhone SE. That's what I use as my backup phone. Great for the price, actually. At the time, I needed something that was 5G capable and was going to have the longest support. You're like, I thought you're an iPhone or an Android person. Oh, I definitely am. But sometimes there are certain programs and stuff like that that only show up on iPhones. Also, some of my family are iPhone users. Not immediate, but my grandparents. They just can navigate those easier. And my brain is farting here. It's nice to be able to have, like, look through the phone, like, oh, how do I do that thing? Well, I can do it on my phone and send it over to him. These Yeti, any of the metal can koozies seem to work actually pretty well. Bit of thirst in there. So I'll make this video into a different video. We'll just take a look at what we got here, which is, you guys probably saw the previous video where I went over a number. This is like the step cut. We've got the what are these? They're long nose pliers. They're not needle nose. This is needle nose. A pretty small one. I think there's a size up from this that I can get from Australia. Maybe it'll come to US. We went through there. Then we got two round nose. We got the long round nose, and then we have the standard one. This is also nickel plated, just like the hardened long nose pliers with the cutters. It's got hardened cutters on there. So we went through all those in the previous video. This was the one that was just hanging out, that hadn't been in on time. We'll zoom on in here. There you go. 5.5-inch flat nose pliers, comfort handles. There was, on the video before this one, we also covered a flat nose pliers, and I was asking you guys, like, hey, I also grabbed the duck bill pliers from Sunoda that I actually ended up using quite a bit. I was asking you guys, what do you use? Either like a flat nose pliers or a duck bill pliers for. This is definitely smaller than the other pair that we had here. Number 2002-140. 140 is fairly short. So these have the smaller grips of these 08-22-145s. I've seen, we also had a crimping, like for ferrites or ferals. Not ferrites, feral crimping pliers. Not feral cats. Like this kitten that just showed up her little butt over here. Are you a farm cat? Huh, Peasy Marie? But for crimping ferals. This one does have a little bit of smoothing on the sides. If we go down to the 5X here, you can see it's not just a hard edge. It is kind of on the front third of it, or front quarter. But then back a bit further, they do kind of roll that off, grind it down a little bit. And this one closes fully. Like that there is no gap there left to grab items. That is designed to, you know, fully flat grab something. So let me know what you guys would specifically use this flat nose pliers for. And it goes boom to the tip too. You know, it's not like some of these other pliers. This one's not like that, but some of them don't have the grip all the way to the you know, like the very nose of it. Like it doesn't go all the way. Like there's a little bit of so you can't shove it all the way down and hit something and then grab it and pull it out like flat. Yeah, what would you guys, not necessarily this size, because size just depends on like the size of the item you're working on, but is there something that you do where you go and you're like, oh, I have to have a flat nose or a duck bill pliers? Like that is my go-to for this project, and here's why. I'd really appreciate it. Because I have had, I still can't remember to this day what it is. It was a non-serrated one of these, but it was more of a precision pliers, so even smaller than this. And there was something I was doing back in the day, because I bought, it was a Craftsman one. I had a Craftsman set of like mini micro pliers, you know, like the precision pliers. And it didn't have a flat nose. And I eventually ended up having to buy it for something I was doing. I believe it was manipulating wire in some way, but not for electronics. You know, so let me know what you guys would pick this guy up for. This is, yeah, I got a little bit of crumbs and stuff. Nip Extend, and you know, this one, see, this is where I'd love to hear from Nipex on this. There's no consistently. Some of these say like Chrome Vanadium, then Vanadium Super. I think that's the harder one, right? On there, those are specifically on the nickel-plated ones, right? But then like this guy, which is the Step Cut, not the Step Cut XL, has the diameter of the wire / cable it can cut, which makes sense because it's a cable cutter. But then I've also seen like that on just normal wire cutters. I've seen them putting that on some of the like ones that have cutters in them. But then on other ones like this guy, which doesn't have a cutter, mind you, but it doesn't state the steel. Is that just because it's not using some sort of fancy steel, so they don't want to mention it? But then we go to ones like this that don't have the steel type and don't have the recommended wire gauge and or like steel or not steel or whatever on it that some of these other ones do. I would just like to see some consistency on that. I also could care way less about this. I would rather see the barcodes right here, put that Vanadium Super right here, and then put the wire gauge always on this bottom one, so you can just grab it and look and be like, boom, yep, I can do 15 millimeter to 50 or 50 millimeters squared copper and aluminum. You know, no problem. And have some consistency to it. Maybe Nipex does have like a guide for why and how they do that. You know, we have figured out that generally speaking, the last number, not even generally speaking, the last number is the length of the tool, right? But the length of the tool doesn't necessarily define the grip. But the first number, I believe, is the tool style, and then the second number is the finish. Because on some of these, you'll see like 5 in there, which usually indicates nickel plated. But why is this a 35 versus a 05? You know, that'd be interesting to know. Maybe, you know, because you could shortcut the product line. If you're looking for something specific, you'd be like, and I've learned this about other product lines. It's like, okay, so I want a 6-inch nickel plated diagonal cutter that is like this guy, which is for steel, like it's the hardened one. That would be, you know, like a 180 for the 6 inches, 180 millimeters. Then it would be the like you know, whatever number for the tool style. You know, we have 26, 95, 30, 22, 8, 20. I don't think that changes, or that should change per the style of the tip, right? But then would that be, because it would be nickel plated, be a 5 in the end, but maybe the hardened cutter makes it a 35, right? So it'd be, you know, like whatever number, 35, 160. You know, if anybody knows like the cheat sheet to that, that would be interesting for me to know. And yeah, let me know what you specifically use these flat nose, or like I said, I have, at least in the Japanese brands and market, these are a little bit different. Like this is a duckbill. It does go to a point, kind of like a needle nose, you know, whereas this flat nose is closer to like a combination pliers. It does go to a point, but not to the same degree as the duckbill. And I have found this useful for grabbing things, and especially with this hard edge here, bending things, because it'll give you a nice 90. But then how this is spaced, rather than grabbing the flats of a, you know, like here you grab the flats on the side of a hex nut, you actually grab the 2 angles like this, and that's kind of, you know, like another advertised thing to do with duckbill. So that's something similar you would do with here, because the teeth also are straight across always on these. Whereas if you look at some of their other pliers, they're going to have some like cross hatching, or even depending on, like if I got you the, these are loosening up a little bit. If you can see, I can actuate them with one hand now. These were real tight though. I'm blanking right now on which one they are, but they're one of my favorite ones too. I don't friggin' remember. My brain has fried. Paisley Marie. That's what I think about that. I wish my computer wouldn't go to sleep all the fucking time. It always does it during these, like right before these, and then takes a while. Even though it's just waking the monitors back up. Because of the OLED. That is one thing OLEDs do not do well, because they turn completely off to avoid burn-in. It is a twin grip. There you go. The twin grip, which has teeth going this way, and then it has ones going this way, so you can grab stuff and actually have it this way on the teeth so it doesn't spin. They are making because they made the smaller 6-inch, the normal twin grip's an 8-inch. They made the 6-inch and the 10-inch. The 10-inch came out of the gate with the nip extend grip, but the 6-inch came with the dip grips. I have seen out of the UK a nip extend 6-inch twin grip. I think that's the 150 millimeter. And that's on my list to pick up. Being that it's out of the UK and the power of the US dollar right now, it is not cheap. So, but yeah, if there's any of these that you've seen me that I've missed about the nip extends, let me know. I'll try and pick them up. I've been trying to keep an eye out on the Nipex site, as well as Amazon's nip extend page. Home Depot generally within a month will get, once it goes up on the US Nipex page, not the global one. Home Depot generally makes it available. You do have to wait though, because if there's a model they already carried, which they don't always, because they only recently started taking on Nipex. So for a lot of these, unlike other websites, they don't have the old comfort handle already, so they don't have to sell through that stock to get to the new one. Now, I was running into that with some of the more common players, if you recall. It was like the larger combination players. Eventually, Nipex, thanks Nipex, you get great support. They ended up sending me one. Because I was on my two different places, third order and exchange, and ended up getting the incorrect players. So they ended up sending me the correct one, which because they're like, oh yeah, and like, be aware we're still selling it through. I'm like, yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but I would assume if the seller has the nip extend grip on their website, what you should get in the mail is the nip extend grip. And they're like, yeah, that's reasonable. So yeah, keep an eye out. At least that's what I make sure. Like, don't assume because the old comfort grip models are the exact same, right? Do not count on just because it's the model you're seeing here, like a 3035 160. Don't assume it's going to be a nip extend unless the picture shows it. And even then, you still might run into an issue. I would just reach out to the retailer, and normally they would fix it for me, because they'd be like, "Oh, that's our bad. We'll get that corrected," and they do. That's happened a couple times early on, but I think it might have happened enough times to enough of these sellers that they are either not listing it with the nip extend handle beforehand, or before they make sure they've switched over, or something similar to that. Like Tools Gone Mad, all of theirs with nip extend handles on the listing say nip extend, which makes them much easier to find. I wish all brands would do that, but you gotta remember, Nipex purposely did not change the SKU/model number, because more than likely this might already be approved for like a government contractor and a company, and they don't want to have to get a different one approved just because they switched the handle. So that's probably why they didn't change the model numbers. And I believe like they had ones that had the lanyard loop for being drop safe, right? Those are all going away because you can just put the adapter in here, which I approve of. I have that on all of mine. I don't always use them that way. I actually need to pick up some lanyards and stuff like that. I eventually probably want to just put some short ones on here. Sometimes it's nice to just be able to hang them on something. I might even just use paracord, yellow paracord, since yellow is my color. Let me know your ideas down below. Like, what would you use that lanyard loop for? Would you put it on? If I ran a specific toolkit, my plan would be one yellow pin for show it's my tool, and one another color pin, so I could have like red, green, blue, orange, purple for each step, and then you would know like, oh, I need the purple one. I need because you can't see the tip when it's in your tool bag like this, right? In my toolbox, though, they're presenting them this way, which is why they can all be yellow and all have the lanyard loop. So questions, comments down below. I know it was just one this time. If you have any feedback, I'd be glad to hear it. And maybe I can track down those like the one that's in Australia and the one that's in the UK right now. Normally I wait till there's more, but I don't know if that'll be happening. Well, we'll see in future videos. Peace.